My beloved child, pause for a moment, breathe and listen with your spirit, not just your ears. Something rare has just happened in the heavens, and it is not coincidence that you are here right now. This message did not find you by accident. It crossed realms, time, and resistance to reach you. And there is a reason your heart feels slightly uneasy, slightly alert, as if something invisible has just leaned close and whispered your name. The night heaven went quiet. Not the peaceful silence you imagine, but a heavy stillness. The kind that only happens when something deeply important is about to unfold. In that stillness, Archangel Michael stood motionless, the commander of heavenly armies, the protector, the warrior who does not tremble. And yet tears fell from his eyes. Yes, Archangel Michael is crying. Not because heaven is weak, not because God has lost control, but because a warning had to be released, one that could no longer wait. This is your final heavenly sign. Understand this clearly. Angels do not weep over small things. They do not release messages casually. When Michael's tears fall, it means protection is being activated before something touches your heart. It means heaven saw something forming, quietly, subtly, through someone you trust. And love demanded a warning. You were chosen for this divine revelation because your spirit can hear it. Many scroll past. Many ignore the nudge. But something stopped you. That was not curiosity. That was alignment. Jesus spoke, not with fear, but with clarity. His voice was calm, yet firm. He did not shout. He did not accuse. He warned because he loves. And what he revealed was not meant to scare you, but to shield you. He said, someone you trust will test your heart very soon. Not a stranger, not an enemy, but someone close enough to matter. And before your mind starts racing, let me say this gently. This message is not about panic. It is about position. Heaven always warns before allowing a lesson, because God does not delight in your pain. He delights in your growth, your protection, and your peace. Betrayal does not always look dramatic. Sometimes it arrives as a sentence, a tone, a silence, a choice someone makes that reveals where their heart truly stands. That is why this message is time-sensitive. Not because something terrible is coming, but because how you respond will determine what happens next. Archangel Michael did not cry because you are weak. He cried because you are valuable. When you are chosen, you become noticeable in the spirit. Light draws attention. Purity exposes intention. And not everyone who walks beside you is meant to walk with you into your next season. Some are only meant to reveal themselves before the door opens. Jesus is not removing people randomly. He's revealing truth mercifully. Right now, angels are standing around you, not above you, not far away but close. Their presence is calm, not chaotic. They are not here to fight others, they are here to guard you. Your heart, your words, your reactions. Because here is the secret heaven wants you to know. What was meant to shake you will lose its power if you stay still in your spirit. This is why you were told before the moment arrives. Awareness changes outcomes. When you are alert, you do not bleed unnecessarily. When you are prepared, you do not react emotionally. You respond spiritually. And listen closely. This is important. The warning is not proof that something bad will succeed. It is proof that God is already ahead of it. If heaven wanted to frighten you, it would have stayed silent. But heaven spoke because you matter too much to be left unaware. Archangel Michael's tears were not sorrow alone. They were resolve. Resolve that you will not be caught off guard. Resolve that no word spoken over you will stick. Resolve that no moment will steal your peace unless you allow it. Right now, something subtle is shifting in the atmosphere around you. You may feel it as clarity entering your mind or a heaviness lifting from your chest. That is not imagination. That is alignment happening in real time. This is not about cutting people off. This is not about suspicion. This is about discernment. You don't need to confront. You don't need to explain. You don't need to defend yourself. All you need to do is observe and remain anchored. Because when you don't react the way darkness expects, its plan collapses on itself. Heaven is watching how you walk through this moment. Will you choose silence over impulse? Will you choose grace over assumption? Will you choose trust in God over trust in human understanding? This is why you were chosen. Not because you are perfect, but because you are willing. What happens next depends on what you do with this awareness. Heaven has already moved. The protection is already active. And very soon, what was hidden will reveal itself. Not to harm you, but to free you. My precious one, there is a reason this message found you, and not the thousands who passed by without sensing anything unusual. Heaven does not interrupt lives randomly. When a divine alert reaches you, it is because your spirit is awake enough to receive it. Even if you have doubted yourself before, even if you have questioned whether you truly hear God clearly, this moment itself is confirmation. Something within you recognized the weight of what was released. That quiet stillness you felt was not fear. It was recognition. It was discernment rising gently, the kind that does not shout but settles deeply. Many believe God speaks only when everything is calm and settled, but very often He speaks when a shift is forming beneath the surface. Warnings are not signs of punishment, they are signs of trust. God warns those He knows will respond with wisdom rather than panic. He warns those who can carry knowledge without turning it into suspicion. That is why this message came to you. Heaven knows your heart. It knows you are capable of holding truth without letting it harden you. You can see without accusing, and you can sense without reacting. That balance is rare, and it is honored in the spiritual realm. Right now, Archangel Michael's presence around you is intentional. His assignment is not loud or dramatic. It is quiet, strategic, and precise. He is not here to create conflict. He is here to prevent unnecessary damage. His protection in this moment is centered on your inner world, your thoughts, your emotions, your responses. Heaven understands that battles are often lost not because of what others do, but because of how we respond. That is why this warning came before emotions could rise. There is something deeply important you must understand. God does not always stop people from making choices that disappoint or hurt. Free will remains sacred. But while God may allow choices, He never removes protection. Instead, He provides awareness. Awareness changes everything. When you are aware, you are no longer easily shaken. When you are alert, emotional traps lose their power. When you are prepared, even difficult moments pass through you without leaving scars. This message is not asking you to confront anyone. It is not asking you to withdraw, accuse, or test relationships. Heaven is not creating distance, it is creating clarity. When clarity comes, distance adjusts naturally without effort. Silence becomes wisdom. Observation becomes strength. Stillness becomes authority. This is how divine protection often works, quietly, invisibly, and effectively. You were chosen to receive this not because you are better than others, but because you are ready. Ready to respond instead of react. Ready to observe instead of assume. ready to let God reveal what needs to be revealed without forcing outcomes. Spiritual maturity is not loud. It does not rush, and trusts timing, and heaven recognizes this maturity in you, even if others have misunderstood it. If this message is resonating deeply, do not ignore that stirring. Take a moment to align yourself with it. Like this video so it reaches others who need discernment in this very season. Share it with someone who may be sensing something is off but cannot explain it. Leave a comment declaring that you choose peace over impulse and wisdom over emotion. And if you feel led, subscribe to this channel and join the membership, because this space is more than content. It is a covering. It is a place where divine reminders meet real life, and where spiritual clarity is strengthened over time. Understand this clearly. Nothing is being taken from you. What is not aligned will simply reveal itself. God never removes without replacing. He never exposes without restoring. Whatever comes to light was never meant to walk with you into your next chapter. And that is not loss. That is alignment. What leaves creates room for what truly belongs. You may notice something subtle happening within you already. A calm where anxiety once lived. A pause where reactions once rushed forward. That is not emotional distance. That is protection activating. Heaven is teaching you how to remain open-hearted without being unguarded. That balance is sacred, and it will serve you well beyond this moment. There is also something else unfolding quietly. While one situation is being revealed, another is being prepared. God never leaves a space empty. As one door begins to close, another is already being unlocked. But timing matters. How you walk through this determines how smoothly you enter what is next. Grace now creates peace later. Before this message moves deeper, let this truth settle into your spirit. What comes next will explain the timing, the silence, and the protection surrounding you right now. There is a deeper layer to this warning that will reshape how you see trust, relationships, and divine preparation. Hold on just a little longer, because this is where understanding begins to take form, and you will be glad you allowed yourself to remain present for what unfolds next. My dear child, there are moments when heaven speaks without words, and this is one of them. The tears of Archangel Michael were not loud, yet they carried weight across realms. Angels do not cry the way humans do. Their tears are not weakness, they are messages. When Archangel Michael weeps, it signals that something sacred is at stake. Not destruction, not punishment, but protection over something precious. And that precious thing is your heart. Understand this clearly. Those tears were not shed because of what someone might do. They were shed because of what you mean to heaven. You are not overlooked. You are not unseen. Your inner battles, your silent prayers, your moments of confusion that you never spoke out loud, heaven noticed all of it. Archangel Michael's tears fell because a line was being crossed in the spirit, and heaven chose to intervene before the wound could deepen. There is a misunderstanding many people have about divine warnings. They think warnings mean danger is guaranteed. But in the kingdom of God, warnings mean outcomes can be altered. When heaven alerts you, it is inviting you into a higher position. A position where reaction no longer controls you, and discernment leads you. That is why Michael's tears were not followed by fear, but by covering. The tears were a signal of compassion. Compassion for your sensitivity. Compassion for your willingness to trust. Compassion because your heart has remained open even after past disappointments. Heaven does not mock a soft heart. It guards it. And in this moment, Archangel Michael stands as a shield, not just around your life, but around your emotions, your thoughts, and your responses. What heaven is revealing now is not meant to make you question everyone around you. It is meant to sharpen your discernment so you no longer ignore subtle signals. Some people do not intend harm, yet their actions still cause it. Others are unaware of how their words land, and some simply cannot walk where you are going. This revelation is not about blame. It is about awareness. Here is a divine mercy in being shown something before it fully manifests. Many people only understand betrayal after the damage is done. But you are being shown the pattern while there is still grace to walk through it untouched. That is rare. That is favor. That is heaven saying, "You matter too much to be left unaware." Archangel Michael's tears also carried a warning for the unseen realm. They declared that what was forming against your peace would not be allowed to take root. Angels respond not just to prayers spoken aloud, but to cries of the heart. And your heart has been crying out for clarity, even if you didn't realize it. Heaven answered in a way only you could receive. Right now, there is a gentle instruction being released over you. Do not rush to conclusions. Do not rush to defend yourself. Do not rush to explain. Let God handle the revealing. Silence in this moment is not weakness. It is alignment. When you remain still, truth surfaces on its own. And when truth surfaces naturally, it carries authority that no argument ever could. This is also a moment of emotional maturity. Heaven is watching how you steward what you know. Knowledge can either empower you or burden you. God trusts you to let this awareness strengthen you, not harden you. The way you hold this revelation will determine how light your heart feels on the other side of it. There is a reason Archangel Michael, and not another angel, was shown crying. He is the defender, the protector, the one assigned when spiritual boundaries are crossed. His tears signal that protection has already been activated. You are not stepping into uncertainty alone. You are stepping into it covered. As this truth settles into your spirit, receive this blessing with intention. Type "I receive divine discernment" in the comments if this message is speaking to your spirit. Blessing code 739 has just been released over your heart, your peace, and your discernment. And now, hear this invitation flowing directly from what has been revealed. I speak to you personally in this moment. When God releases light like this, it is not meant to stop with you. It is meant to travel. Scripture says the Lord gives seed to the sower and bread to the eater. And right now, you are holding seed. When you support this mission through Super Thanks, membership, or PayPal, linked in the description, you are sowing into souls who are still waiting for their warning, their clarity, their moment of protection. As you release, heaven releases back to you, pressed down and overflowing. I bless every giver now, declaring that as you sow into this work, your discernment will sharpen, your peace will deepen, and doors no one can shut will open before you. Obey the nudge. Release the seed. Step into alignment now. My beloved one, now is the moment to understand something deeper about trust, because trust itself is not weakness. Trust is holy. God designed it so hearts could connect, families could form, and purpose could flow from one life to another. But trust is also a test. Not a test meant to harm you, but a test meant to reveal what is strong enough to walk with you into what God is building next. This is why heaven speaks now, before confusion has a chance to take root. Many people think betrayal always arrives loudly, but most of the time it comes quietly. It does not announce itself. It slips in through familiarity, through comfort, through routine. That is why it hurts, because it comes from a place that once felt safe. God understands this better than anyone. He knows the pain of broken trust, which is why he does not ignore it when it approaches his children. You warns not to harden your heart, but to steady it. Right now, you are standing in a moment where trust is being refined, not destroyed. Heaven is not asking you to stop loving. Heaven is teaching you how to love with wisdom. There is a difference. Loving without wisdom drains you. Loving with wisdom protects you. And protection does not mean distance. It means discernment. Discernment allows you to see clearly without becoming cold. Archangel Michael stands near you in this refining moment. His role here is subtle but powerful. He is not cutting people off from your life. He is guarding your boundaries so that what crosses into your heart is aligned with God's purpose for you. Boundaries are not walls. They are gates. And gates require discernment to know what may enter and what must remain outside. One of the greatest traps in moments like this is trying to identify the person too quickly. The human mind wants certainty. It wants names. It wants explanations. But heaven works differently. God does not reveal everything at once because full revelation too early can lead to reaction instead of wisdom. What God gives you now is enough. Enough to stay calm. Enough to stay observant. Enough to stay anchored. This is where many people miss the lesson. They think trust being tested means they trusted the wrong way. But often, it means you trusted the right way, and now God is showing you who can continue with you and who cannot. That is not failure. That is progression. Everyone is not meant to go where you are going, even if they walk faithfully beside you for a season. There is also something deeply healing happening beneath the surface. God is teaching you not to place your peace in human consistency. Humans change. Emotions fluctuate. Attentions shift. But God remains steady. When your peace is rooted in Him, even moments of disappointment do not shake you the way they once did. This is maturity being formed quietly within you. Do not underestimate the power of your restraint right now. Every time you choose silence over reaction, you weaken the impact of what was meant to disturb you. Every time you choose prayer over assumption, you strengthen your inner authority. Heaven is watching these choices, not to judge you, but to reinforce you. Each wise response builds spiritual muscle you will need later. You may notice that conversations feel different, or that something once familiar feels slightly misaligned. That does not mean you are imagining things. It means your discernment is sharpening. When discernment sharpens, comfort zones shift. What once felt normal may no longer feel right, and that is not loss. It is growth. This moment is also teaching you patience. God does not rush revelations because rushy truth can overwhelm the heart. Instead, He allows clarity to unfold gently, layer by layer. This way, when understanding fully arrives, it does not crush you. It frees you. Trust that what needs to be revealed will be revealed without you forcing it. Archangel Michael's presence assures you of this. Nothing that belongs in your future will be lost in this process. Only what cannot carry the weight of where God is taking you will fall away. And even then, it will fall away without chaos if you remain steady. Protection does not always look like prevention. Sometimes it looks like preparation. You are not being asked to change who you are. Your kindness is not a flaw. Your openness is not a mistake. God is simply teaching you how to steward these gifts wisely. When love is paired with discernment, it becomes powerful instead of painful. That is what is being formed in you now. As this understanding settles in your spirit, allow yourself to release the need to control outcomes. Control creates tension. Trust in God creates peace. You do not need to figure everything out in this moment. You only need to remain aligned. Heaven is already handling what you cannot see. This is a sacred pause. A moment where trust is being purified, not punished. Walk through it gently. Walk through it wisely. And know this with certainty: nothing about this test is meant to break you. It is meant to prepare you for a level of peace, clarity, and strength you have not yet experienced, but are very close to stepping into. My dear one, now we come to something that many misunderstand: the meaning of the window you were shown. When heaven speaks about timing, it is rarely about clocks the way humans understand them. This moment is not meant to create tension in your mind or make you watch every minute with unease. Instead, it is meant to bring alignment to your spirit. God does not trap his children with time. He positions them within it. This window represents a moment of convergence, a space where intentions, words, and choices intersect. It is the point where something unspoken seeks expression, not necessarily in a dramatic way, but in a revealing one. Often, truth does not arrive as a loud event. It arrives as clarity, a sentence that lands differently than expected, a reaction that exposes what was hidden, a silence that suddenly speaks volumes. Heaven allowed you to be aware of this moment not so you could brace yourself emotionally, but so you could remain centered. When you are centered, nothing catches you off guard. When you are grounded, nothing easily unsettles you. This awareness is not about what someone else may do. It is about how you remain steady regardless of what unfolds. There is a divine principle at work here. When God reveals timing, he is offering you an opportunity to choose posture over impulse. Most emotional wounds are not caused by events themselves, but by reactions that happen too quickly. God, in his mercy, has slowed the moment down for you. Awareness stretches time spiritually. It gives you room to breathe, to pause, to observe without absorbing unnecessary weight. Archangel Michael's role during this window is quiet vigilance. He is not interfering. He is standing watch. His presence ensures that nothing will overwhelm you. You may feel a subtle sense of restraint within yourself, as though something is holding you back from speaking too quickly or reacting too strongly. That is not suppression. That is protection. This is not a moment to withdraw or isolate. It is also not a moment to test or provoke conversations. Heaven is not asking you to do anything externally. The work right now is internal. Stay present. Stay calm. Stay attentive. Let things reveal themselves naturally. What reveals itself without force carries truth without distortion. You might notice that your intuition feels sharper than usual. Small details stand out. Tone matters more. Energy feels clear. That is because discernment has been activated. Discernment does not accuse. It observes. It does not jump to conclusions. It waits until clarity arrives fully formed. Trust that process. It is also important to understand this. Not every test of trust is meant to end a relationship. Some tests are meant to adjust dynamics. Others are meant to bring healing conversations later. And some are simply meant to show you where emotional boundaries need strengthening. God does not deal in absolutes the way humans do. He deals in alignment. If something feels off, you do not need to label it immediately. Allow God to label it in his time. Labels placed too early can lock you into assumptions that are not yet complete. Heaven values patience because patience allows truth to surface without distortion. During this window, your greatest strength is neutrality. Neutrality does not mean indifference. It means you are not being pulled into emotional extremes. You are not defending or accusing. You are simply present. Presence is powerful. When you are fully present, you see clearly. And when you see clearly, you do not misinterpret what is unfolding. Remember this: God is not testing your trust to take something away. He is refining it so it can carry more. Trust that has never been tested cannot sustain deeper assignments. What you are experiencing now is preparation. Preparation for relationships that require emotional stability. Preparation for conversations that require wisdom. Preparation for peace that cannot be easily disturbed. You may also feel a strange calm alongside the alertness. That calm is not denial. It is assurance. Assurance that whatever happens, you will be okay. That assurance comes from knowing heaven is involved. When heaven is involved, outcomes are never random. Do not replay scenarios in your mind. Do not anticipate words that have not been spoken. Anticipation creates anxiety, and anxiety distorts perception. Stay grounded in the present moment. What is meant to happen will happen without you pushing it forward. This window will pass, but what you learn from it will stay. You are learning how to remain steady under emotional pressure. You are learning how to trust God more than your immediate feelings. These lessons will serve you far beyond this moment. Archangel Michael's presence reminds you that protection does not always mean stopping events. Sometimes it means ensuring you walk through them unshaken. You are not fragile. You are guided. You are not exposed. You are covered. As this moment unfolds, remember that peace is your indicator. If you feel pulled toward rest rather than reaction, you are aligned. If you feel clarity rather than confusion, you are protected. Trust that heaven knows exactly what it is doing. This window is not a threat. It is an invitation. An invitation to walk with awareness instead of assumption. To choose wisdom instead of impulse. To remain anchored instead of emotionally driven. And when this moment passes, you will realize that nothing was lost. Only understanding was gained, and strength was quietly built within you. My beloved child, this is where heaven's strategy becomes clear. What you are experiencing is not random, and it is not reactive. It is intentional. God never sends awareness without also releasing a way through. Right now, heaven is not asking you to defend yourself, explain yourself, or prepare arguments in your mind. Heaven is asking you to stay aligned. Alignment is the strategy. Archangel Michael's role in this moment is not dramatic intervention. It is disciplined protection. He's guarding the unseen lines around you, the emotional boundaries, the spiritual perimeter, the quiet places of your heart where peace lives. Protection does not always roar like thunder. Often, it whispers restraint. It nudges you to pause. It slows your response. It reminds you that not every feeling requires expression. There is a divine wisdom in restraint that many people misunderstand. Restraint is not suppression. It is mastery. When you master your reactions, you master the moment. Heaven knows that what happens around you cannot truly harm you unless it destabilizes what is within you. That is why the strategy right now is inward strength, not outward action. You may feel an unusual sense of control over your emotions compared to past situations. Where you once reacted quickly, you now hesitate. Where words once rose instantly, silence now feels natural. That is not you becoming distant. That is you becoming anchored. Anchored people are not easily shaken, and heaven is anchoring you deeply in this season. God is also teaching you discernment without suspicion. Suspicion poisons the heart. Discernment protects it. Suspicion looks for threats everywhere. Discernment quietly notices patterns without panic. This is why you are not being given names, faces, or full explanations. You are being given awareness, not accusation. Heaven does not want you burdened with conclusions you were never meant to carry. Archangel Michael stands watch so that even if words are spoken, that could unsettle you. They will not penetrate deeply. You may hear something and feel strangely unaffected. That is protection at work. When something that once would have shaken you now passes through without leaving a mark, you are witnessing growth in real time. This is also a moment where heaven invites your participation. Alignment grows stronger when you actively choose it. If this message is speaking to you, take a moment to engage. Like this video so the algorithm carries it to others who are standing at similar crossroads. Share it with someone who may be sensing a shift but does not yet understand it. Leave a comment declaring that you choose wisdom, peace, and divine alignment over reaction. And if you feel led, subscribe and join the membership, because this space is more than a channel. It is a place of ongoing discernment and spiritual grounding. There is something powerful about choosing peace intentionally. Peace is not passive. Peace is a decision. Every time you decide not to react, not to assume, not to defend prematurely, you are partnering with heaven's strategy. That partnership produces outcomes you cannot yet see, but will soon recognize. Be mindful of this in the coming moments. Not every silence needs to be filled. Not every question needs an immediate answer. God is comfortable with pauses. Pauses allow truth to surface on its own. When truth surfaces naturally, it carries clarity without confusion. You are also being trained to trust God more than timing. Humans want quick resolution. God values right resolution. What resolves too quickly often leaves residue. What resolves in God's timing leaves peace. That is why this strategy may feel slower than your emotions want, but it is gentler on your heart. If you sense a temptation to overthink, release it. Overthinking is often a sign that the mind is trying to control what God is already handling. Trust does not require constant mental engagement. Trust rests, and rest sharpens discernment. Archangel Michael's presence reassures you that even if something unfolds unexpectedly, you will not be overwhelmed. You are not walking into this unguarded. You are walking into it covered, steadied, and aware. Awareness removes shock, and without shock, emotional damage loses its grip. This part of the journey is about practicing stillness under pressure. Stillness is not inactivity. It is strength under control. It allows you to see clearly while others may react impulsively. It allows you to choose wisely while others speak too soon. Hold on to this truth. Heaven's strategy is already ahead of the situation. You are not late. You are not behind. You are exactly where you need to be, carrying exactly what you need. Nothing more is required of you right now than to remain aligned. And before this message goes any further, let this settle in your spirit. What is coming next will reveal why this calm you are feeling is not accidental, and how staying in this posture will protect you long after this moment passes. There is a deeper understanding unfolding, and you will recognize its value if you remain present as it continues to unfold. My precious one, now it is time to understand the heart behind the warning, because the voice that spoke was not distant, harsh, or condemning. It was the voice of Jesus, steady, loving, and intentional. When Jesus speaks a warning, it is never to frighten. It is to preserve. His words do not come from suspicion. They come from perfect awareness. He sees what you cannot yet see, and he speaks so your heart will not be caught unprepared. Jesus never exposes without purpose. He never reveals without redemption already planned. When he allowed this message to reach you, he was not pointing a finger at someone else. He was placing his hand over you. His warning was not about what another person might do, but about what he desires to protect within you, your peace, your softness, your trust in God rather than in human behavior. Many people struggle to understand why Jesus would warn about relational pain at all. Wouldn't love prevent it entirely? But love also prepares. Jesus knows that the deepest wounds are not physical or visible. They are the silent ones, caused by disappointment, broken expectations, and unspoken hurt. Those are the wounds he cares deeply about, and that is why he speaks before they settle into your spirit. This warning carries compassion. Jesus understands how deeply you feel things. He knows you do not guard your heart with suspicion, but with hope. That is not a flaw. That is a reflection of his own heart. But even Jesus knew when to step back, when to remain silent, and when to entrust matters to the Father rather than to people. In this moment, he is inviting you to do the same. Notice how the message did not come with names, details, or instructions to act. That is intentional. Jesus is not trying to control your choices. He is strengthening your discernment. Discernment does not require full information to function. It requires alignment with truth. When you are aligned, you will know how to respond when the moment arrives, without panic, without regret. Jesus is also teaching you something subtle here. Not every wound is meant to be confronted. Some are meant to be released quietly. Some are meant to pass through without being absorbed. When you release instead of react, you break cycles that once repeated themselves in your life. You are no longer the person you were in past seasons, and Jesus is honoring that growth by speaking to you differently now. There is also mercy in this warning for the other person involved. Jesus does not shame. He does not expose publicly. He allows truth to surface gently, giving space for conscience, reflection, and even repentance. This is why you are not being asked to respond harshly. Heaven is handling what you are not meant to carry. Pay attention to how calm this warning feels despite its seriousness. That calm is intentional. Jesus does not operate through chaos. If something feels rushed, frantic, or emotionally charged, it is not coming from him. His voice brings clarity without pressure. If you feel grounded rather than anxious, that is confirmation you are hearing him correctly. This moment is also about healing old patterns. Perhaps in the past, similar situations left you confused or hurt for longer than necessary. Perhaps you replayed conversations, questioned yourself, or carried emotional weight that was never yours to carry. Jesus is showing you a new way now. A way where awareness replaces confusion, and peace replaces emotional exhaustion. He is also reminding you that your worth has never been tied to how others treat you. Even if someone disappoints you, it does not diminish your value or your calling. Jesus anchors your identity in him, not in human consistency. When you remember that, disappointment loses its ability to define you. There is something powerful happening within you right now. You are learning to listen without reacting, to feel without being overwhelmed, to trust God without needing immediate explanations. These are signs of spiritual depth. They indicate that you are moving into a season where emotional stability becomes one of your greatest strengths. Do not misunderstand this warning as a sign that love is risky. Love remains sacred. But Jesus is teaching you how to love without losing yourself, how to remain open without being unguarded, how to care without carrying what was never yours to hold. This balance will protect you far beyond this moment. As you sit with this understanding, allow gratitude to rise. Gratitude that Jesus cares enough to warn. Gratitude that heaven watches over the details of your life. Gratitude that you are not navigating relationships blindly anymore. Awareness is a gift, and you have received it. Nothing about this moment is meant to steal your joy. In fact, it is meant to preserve it. Jesus is not preparing you for loss. He is preparing you for peace. A peace that is not dependent on others behaving perfectly, but on you remaining anchored in truth. Hold this close in your heart. The same Jesus who warned you is also walking with you through what comes next. You are not stepping into uncertainty alone. You are stepping into it with clarity, with covering, and with a deeper trust in God than you had before. And as this truth settles, know that what is unfolding is not meant to wound you. It is meant to strengthen you. The voice that warned you is the same voice that will guide you forward, gently, faithfully, and with unwavering love. My beloved child, this is the moment where discernment must protect you from a subtle trap. Not a loud one, not an obvious one, but a quiet snare that has pulled many sincere hearts into unnecessary pain. A trap is not what someone else may do. The trap is how you might be tempted to respond once clarity begins to surface. Heaven reveals truth so you can walk free, not so you can carry weight that was never assigned to you. When awareness increases, emotions often try to rush in and take control. You may feel the urge to explain yourself, to justify your intentions, or to correct misunderstandings before they fully form. But hear this gently and clearly. Not every truth requires your defense. Some truths are meant to stand on their own. When you try to manage what God is already revealing, you can unknowingly step out of alignment. This is where many people lose their peace. They receive discernment, but then try to act on it prematurely. They speak before clarity has fully settled. They confront before wisdom has completed its work. And in doing so, they turn what could have been a quiet release into an emotional exchange that drains them. Heaven is protecting you from that cycle right now. Archangel Michael's presence is especially important here. He is guarding you from overexposure. Overexposure happens when you share too much, too soon, with the wrong heart. Silence in this moment is not secrecy. It is stewardship. You are stewarding your peace, your energy, and your future by allowing God to handle what you are not meant to fix. Another trap to avoid is internal replay. Replaying conversations that have not yet happened. Writing scenarios in your mind. Imagining outcomes before they exist. This creates emotional fatigue and clouds discernment. God does not ask you to carry imagined burdens. He asks you to stay present. Presence keeps you grounded. Grounded hearts hear God more clearly. There is also a temptation to harden your heart slightly, just to feel protected. But hardness is not protection. It blocks both pain and joy. Heaven does not want you closed. It wants you covered. There is a difference. Coverage allows you to remain soft without being wounded. Hardness may feel safe, but it isolates you from the very peace God wants to preserve. What heaven is teaching you now is restraint paired with trust. Trust that God will reveal what needs to be revealed without your intervention. Trust that you do not need to expose, confront, or correct for truth to stand. Trust that what belongs in your life will not require constant emotional effort to maintain. This is also a moment to resist spiritual pride. Awareness does not make you superior. It makes you responsible. Responsible to walk humbly. Responsible to remain compassionate. Responsible to let love guide your posture even when clarity sharpens your vision. Discernment without humility becomes judgment. Heaven is keeping you far from that. You may feel an inner nudge to withdraw slightly, not in bitterness but in stillness. That is allowed. Stillness gives space for clarity to complete its work. It gives room for emotions to settle without suppression. It allows God to move without interruption. Understand this deeply. If something is meant to leave your life, it will leave without you forcing it. If something is meant to stay, it will adjust without you controlling it. God does not need your help to rearrange what no longer aligns. He needs your trust. This moment is also releasing healing. Healing from times when you reacted too quickly in the past. Healing from moments when you blamed yourself for others' choices. Healing from emotional exhaustion caused by carrying things you were never meant to carry. You are learning a new way now. A lighter way. A wiser way. Archangel Michael stands as a witness to this growth. He is not only protecting you from harm, he is marking this transition in you. You are no longer easily provoked. You are no longer emotionally pulled in every direction. You are becoming steady. And steady people are powerful in the spirit. As this understanding settles, receive this with intention. Type "I walk in discernment" in the comments if this message resonates with your spirit. Blessing code 8129 has just been released, sealing clarity, peace, and divine restraint over your heart. I speak to you personally as one entrusted with this message. When heaven releases discernment like this, it is oil meant to spread. Scripture says that those who sow into good ground will reap in due season. And right now, this is good ground. If you feel the nudge, respond through Super Thanks, membership, or PayPal, with the links placed in the description. Your support becomes light for others who are still walking in confusion. As you give, I declare open heavens over you, peace where there was pressure, clarity where there was uncertainty, and divine alignment in every relationship connected to your destiny. Do not delay obedience. Release the seed now, and watch how God multiplies it back into your life with grace and precision. My dear one, there is a question quietly forming in your heart, even if you have not spoken it aloud. You may be wondering, what if this warning has already begun to unfold? What if something has already shifted, even subtly? Heaven anticipated this question, and that is why this message continues with reassurance rather than alarm. God is never caught off guard, and neither are you. Sometimes awareness arrives at the same time as the event itself. That does not mean the warning came late. It means heaven timed it perfectly so you would not face the moment blindly. God's timing is not always about being early. It is about being precise. Precision ensures that even if something has already started to surface, it does not gain control over your emotions or direction. If you sense that a conversation, a feeling, or an energy has already changed, remain calm. Calm is confirmation that you are still under divine covering. When panic does not rise, it is because peace has already taken its place. That peace is not denial. It is evidence that God is actively present in the situation. Heaven wants you to understand that awareness does not expire. Once you are alerted, you remain protected even if events overlap with the message. Protection is not fragile. It does not disappear because something begins to unfold. In fact, protection becomes stronger when awareness and timing meet. This part of the journey is about trust in God's sovereignty. Even if something unexpected is said, even if a tone feels different, even if a realization lands quietly in your heart, none of it has the authority to undo what God is building in you. You are not defined by how others act in moments of weakness. You are defined by how you remain anchored in truth. There is also something deeply healing happening right now. God is teaching you not to personalize everything. Not every shift is about you. Not every action is a reflection of your worth. Some people act from their own unresolved places. Heaven is gently lifting the weight of false responsibility from your shoulders. Archangel Michael's presence assures you that even if emotions stir, they will not overwhelm you. You may notice that you are able to observe your feelings without being consumed by them. That is growth. That is maturity. That is spiritual strength forming quietly within you. You are also being reminded that God's plans are not fragile. They do not collapse because of one conversation, one misunderstanding, or one moment of disappointment. What God has ordained for your life is sustained by Him, not by human behavior. His truth brings stability when circumstances feel uncertain. If something has already occurred, do not rush to label it as loss. Loss implies something was taken from you. In reality, what is happening is clarification. Clarification brings alignment. Alignment always leads to peace, even if it arrives through uncomfortable moments first. God is also protecting you from regret. Regret often comes from reacting before understanding. Because you are aware, you are less likely to say things you cannot take back or make decisions rooted in emotion rather than wisdom. Awareness slows you down just enough to choose rightly. You may feel tempted to analyze every detail, every word, every pause. Resist that urge. Overanalysis drains energy and distorts perspective. Trust that what needs to be understood will become clear without mental strain. God does not require exhaustion to bring revelation. This is a season of learning how to let things pass through you without attaching themselves to you. When emotions pass through without settling, they lose their power. You remain whole. You remain steady. You remain at peace. Heaven also wants to remind you that restoration is always part of the plan. Whether restoration looks like healed understanding, adjusted expectations, or new alignment altogether, God never leaves situations unresolved. Resolution may not come in the form you expect, but it will come in a way that protects your heart. If you find yourself feeling unexpectedly strong, unexpectedly calm, or unexpectedly clear, do not question it. That strength is not self-generated. It is grace. Grace fills the gaps where human strength once failed. Grace carries you through moments that once would have shaken you deeply. Archangel Michael stands firm as a reminder that you are not navigating this alone. You are surrounded by divine order even when human behavior feels unpredictable. Heaven thrives in order. Chaos has no lasting authority where God is present. As this part of the message settles, allow yourself to release the need to control outcomes. Control often disguises itself as caution, but true safety comes from trust. Trust that God sees every detail. Trust that He is already addressing what concerns you. Trust that your peace is not temporary but protected. Whatever has begun, whatever is unfolding, whatever is being revealed, it is not bigger than God's purpose for you. It is not stronger than His covering. And it is certainly not capable of undoing the growth that has already taken place within you. You are walking through this moment with clarity, not confusion. With awareness, not fear. With protection, not vulnerability. And when this season passes, you will look back and realize that what once seemed uncertain became a defining moment of strength, wisdom, and deepened trust in God's faithful presence over your life. My beloved child, this is the moment where your response carries more weight than the situation itself. Heaven has shown you that awareness alone is not the final step. Awareness prepares you, but response positions you. What happens next is not decided by what someone else says or does. It is decided by how you choose to move internally, spiritually, and emotionally. This is where alignment becomes active. God has given you space between stimulus and response, and that space is sacred. In that space lies wisdom. In that space lies peace. In that space, heaven works on your behalf. Many people lose their peace not because of what happens, but because they respond too quickly, without allowing that sacred space to do its work. You are being taught to live in that pause. Your response right now is not about silence for the sake of silence. It is about intentional restraint. Restraint allows truth to reveal itself fully. When you respond too soon, you often respond to fragments. not the whole picture. God sees the whole picture. That is why he asks you to trust him with timing. There is also something deeply empowering about choosing not to react emotionally. Emotional reactions often feel justified in the moment, but they can create consequences that last far longer than the emotion itself. Heaven is protecting you from those unnecessary consequences. You are being guided to respond from clarity, not from impulse. This is also a moment of choice regarding where you place your energy. Energy is precious. What you focus on grows stronger. If you focus on potential disappointment, it grows heavier. If you focus on peace and alignment, those grow stronger. Heaven is gently redirecting your focus toward what sustains you, not what drains you. Archangel Michael remains near, not to fight on your behalf, but to stabilize you. Stability is your greatest strength right now. When you are stable, nothing can pull you into chaos. Stability allows you to listen carefully, to speak wisely, and to act only when prompted by peace. You may notice that you feel less urge to explain yourself than you once did. That is growth. Explanation often comes from a desire to be understood. But understanding is not always immediate, and forcing it can create tension. God understands you fully. That alone is enough to keep you grounded while others catch up to clarity in their own time. This is also a season where God is teaching you to trust your inner stillness. Stillness is not emptiness. It is fullness without noise. When your inner world is still, you can sense when to speak and when to remain quiet. You can sense when something aligns and when it does not. That sensitivity is being refined now. If this message is resonating with you, this is a good moment to engage intentionally. Like this video to support the flow of these messages to others who are navigating similar moments. Share it with someone who may be standing at an emotional crossroads without clarity. Leave a comment declaring that you choose wisdom, peace, and alignment over reaction. And if you have not yet done so, subscribe to the channel and consider joining the membership, because these messages are meant to walk with you consistently, not just once. Be mindful in the coming moments of how quickly emotions try to narrate the story. Emotions are powerful, but they are not always accurate narrators. Truth often speaks more quietly. That is why God invites you to slow down, to listen beneath the surface, and to let understanding form without pressure. There is no need to prove anything right now. No need to correct assumptions. No need to seek validation. When you are aligned, validation comes from peace, not from people. The absence of inner conflict is a stronger confirmation than any external agreement. This is also where freedom begins to take shape. Freedom is not the absence of challenges. It is the ability to remain yourself within them. You are learning how to stay soft without being shaken, how to remain kind without being pulled off balance, how to stay present without carrying unnecessary weight. You may feel moments of uncertainty rise briefly. Let them pass. Do not engage them. Uncertainty often tests whether you will return to old patterns of overthinking or remain in the new posture of trust. Each time you choose trust, you strengthen it. Remember this: God is not waiting for you to get this perfectly right. He is walking with you through it. Grace covers the learning process. Peace grows as you practice alignment, not as you achieve flawlessness. Hold this close as you move forward. The way you respond now is shaping how future situations will feel. Calm responses today create calmer seasons tomorrow. Wise restraint now creates deeper confidence later. And stay aware, because what comes next will tie all of this together in a way that brings reassurance. You are closer to clarity than you realize. The stillness you are choosing now is preparing you for something meaningful that is already taking form beneath the surface. My precious one, you are now approaching the quiet side of the storm, the place most people never recognize because they are too focused on the tension that came before it. This is the moment after obedience, after restraint, after choosing alignment over impulse. It is here that heaven begins to seal what was protected. What you are feeling now may not be dramatic, but it is deeply significant. There is a spiritual principle at work that few understand. When you pass a test without reacting the old way, heaven marks you. That mark is not visible, but it is real. It is a seal of maturity. It tells the spiritual realm that you can be trusted with greater peace, deeper responsibility, and more stable relationships. What you just walked through was not small. It was official. Many people think the reward of obedience is immediate relief, but often the true reward is clarity. You may notice that your thoughts feel quieter. Your emotions feel less demanding. Situations that once pulled heavily on your heart now feel distant, as if they no longer have the same authority over you. That is not numbness. That is freedom beginning to settle in. This is where God gently restores your inner balance. Balance does not mean everything around you has resolve. It means you are no longer internally divided. When inner division ends, peace takes root. Peace does not depend on people apologizing, explaining, or changing. It depends on alignment with truth. You are stepping into that alignment now. Archangel Michael's role here shifts from watchfulness to confirmation. His presence signals that what was meant to disturb you has lost its assignment. Not because it never existed, but because it did not gain access to your spirit. This is important. Many attacks fail not because they never come, but because they are not received. You did not receive what was not meant for you. You may reflect back on the moment when you first sensed the warning and realize how differently you handled it compared to past experiences. Where you once felt shaken, you remained steady. Where you once needed answers immediately, you allowed space. Where you once reacted, you observed. This is growth that cannot be reversed. Once discernment matures, you cannot unknow it. There is also a release happening now. Release of tension you did not realize you were carrying. Release of expectations you placed on others to protect your peace. Release of the need to be understood in every moment. God is lifting these weights gently, without fanfare, because they no longer belong to you. This part of the journey is not loud, but it is holy. It is the stillness that follows obedience. In that stillness, God often whispers affirmation, not in words but in rest, in quiet confidence, in the sense that even if things are not perfect, you are okay. That assurance is a gift. You are also being prepared for something new. Not necessarily something immediate, but something significant. Peace creates capacity. When your inner world is calm, you can hold more responsibility without becoming overwhelmed. You can love more deeply without fear. You can trust more wisely without losing yourself. This is why God values peace so highly. Do not be surprised if you feel less reactive in situations unrelated to this moment. Growth in one area spills into others. When God teaches you restraint here, it strengthens you everywhere. Conversations feel lighter. Decisions feel clearer. Your sense of self feels more grounded. These are signs that the lesson has been integrated, not just learned. There is also restoration taking place beneath the surface. Restoration does not always mean things return to how they were. Often, it means they return in a healthy form. Expectations adjust. Boundaries strengthen. Understanding deepens. What returns is not the old version, but a refined one. If there was disappointment involved, God is healing it without reopening the wound. He does this by reframing perspective. You begin to see that what disappointed you did not define you. It simply clarified something you needed to know. Clarity is a form of mercy. Mercy leads to peace. Archangel Michael remains as a reminder that protection does not end when the moment passes. Protection continues as you move forward, carrying the lesson with you. What you have learned will quietly guard you in future situations without you needing to consciously apply. Discernment becomes instinct. As you stand here now, recognize this truth. You did not lose anything that was meant for you. You did not miss anything that God intended to give you. What shifted did so under divine supervision. Nothing slipped through God's hands. Everything unfolded within His awareness. This is the seal after the storm. The calm that confirms you walked rightly. The peace that tells you the test hath passed. The quiet strength that signals readiness for what comes next. And as you move forward from this moment, carry this confidence with you. You are not easily shaken anymore. You are not easily confused. You are not easily pulled into emotional chaos. You have learned how to remain anchored. My beloved child, this is heaven's final word over you, and it comes not with urgency, but with assurance. Everything that needed to be revealed hath been revealed. Everything that needed to be protected hath been protected. What you have just walked through was not meant to leave you unsettled, but sealed. Sealed in peace. Sealed in clarity. Sealed in the quiet confidence that God was present in every detail. Look back for a moment, not with fear, but with understanding. What once felt like a warning now feels like wisdom. What once felt uncertain now feels resolved within you. This is how heaven works. God does not leave His children hanging in tension. He leads them through awareness into rest. And rest is where strength is renewed. Archangel Michael stands at the close of this message not with tears, but with calm authority. His watch over you has not ended. It has simply shifted. What needed immediate protection has been covered. What needed restraint has been learned. What needed clarity has been granted. You are not walking forward guarded by fear, but surrounded by peace. Jesus' words were never meant to echo endlessly in your mind. They were meant to guide you through a moment and then release you back into trust. And now, that trust has deepened. You are not naive. You are discerning. You are not closed. You are wise. You are not shaken. You are anchored. This is important to hear clearly. Nothing about this experience disqualified you from love, connection, or joy. If anything, it qualified you for healthy versions of all three. You have learned how to remain open without being vulnerable to unnecessary pain. That balance will serve you for the rest of your journey. There is also a blessing hidden in what did not happen, in the reactions you did not give, in the words you did not speak, in the emotional spiral you did not enter. Those moments of restraint protected future peace you have not yet experienced. God often blesses us by what He helps us avoid, not just by what He brings. As this message closes, heaven wants you to release any remaining tension. You do not need to stay alert anymore. You do not need to stay guarded. The moment has passed, and you walk through it wisely. Let your shoulders relax. Let your heart rest. You are safe. You may notice that something within you feels lighter now. That is the weight of uncertainty lifting. You may also feel stronger. That is discernment settling into instinct. What once required effort will now come naturally. This is growth you cannot lose. Archangel Michael remains as a reminder that protection surrounds your future as well as your present. You are not walking into what comes next alone. Heaven goes before you, not behind you. Whatever doors open, whatever relationships form, whatever conversations unfold, you will carry this wisdom quietly within you. And now, receive this final blessing with intention. Type "I am sealed in peace" in the comments if this message has settled in your spirit. Blessing code 9441 is now released, sealing peace over your mind, discernment over your heart, and divine order over every relationship connected to your destiny. As this message comes to rest, hear this invitation flowing directly from heaven's purpose. I speak to you personally in this moment. God does not release light like this without inviting partnership. What you have received was not meant to stop with you. Scripture declares that when seed is sown into good ground, it multiplies beyond what the sower can see. Right now, this work is good ground. When you support through Super Thanks, membership, or PayPal, linked in the description, you are helping this message reach souls who are still unaware, unprotected, and searching for clarity. As you give, I speak blessing over you. May your obedience unlock provision. May your generosity release peace. And may your seed return to you pressed down, shaken together, and overflowing. Do not hesitate. Obey the nudge. Release the seed now, and step fully into alignment with what God is doing through this mission. Go forward in peace. What was meant to disturb you has passed. What was meant to strengthen you has taken root. And what God has prepared for you next will meet you exactly where you are, steady, wise, and covered